Welcome back, YouTube. 90 Nuance back at it again. Bring you guys another video this week. Today's topic: discipline, self-discipline specifically. This is can be a tricky one. I'll be honest with you guys. Working with a lot of clients over the years, and even working professionally with a lot of people on my team. This is a hot topic for a lot of individuals, and it's something that I do feel like almost every single person is going to deal with this at some point in their life, whether it's regarding fitness, whether it's regarding video games, maybe even a substance issue, maybe it's a bad habit that maybe is unrelated to a substance. This really can even play into like your interpersonal relationships. But self-discipline, how do you improve it? Is there ways? Is there any science behind it? Definitely a lot of strategies. Me personally, I've had a lot of success with, especially with my clients, just one small thing at a time, right? There's a very famous old saying. It's, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Sometimes large tasks, big goals can seem very overwhelming. But if you really break those down and just attack them, at the substrata layer, one small step at a time, you'd be surprised how much progress you can make in even a few months. And obviously the most disciplined individuals who are looking to achieve the most, they can do this over a period of many years, even decades. And that's when you see people make obviously uncomprehendable changes to the world, right? But as far as decision making, memory, these are all things that happen in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. And I have noticed actually that usually people with very good memory retention, typically once they crack the code to perfecting self-discipline, it's just like a skill that you get really, really good at, and it becomes highly repeatable, and they can repeat it in, one area of their life, and they just basically continue on this momentum of just snowballing effect. And it could really be contagious in other areas of their life. And this really does matter because obviously with, technology, social media, the younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, they're very, very keen and used to instant gratification, which a lot of research basically is pointing to the fact that instant gratification is not good for building self-discipline in the long run, especially if you're getting a reward before the hard work is being done. You are actually interrupting that dopaminergic drive in your brain, and you're teaching yourself that you don't need the hard work to get said reward. And obviously this can have like very dramatic consequences, especially when you're talking about over tens of millions of people. Even billions in the entire world, right? And as culture moves faster and quicker, and information spreads quicker, and social media is more prevalent more prevalent among most of the society, you get this very high dopaminergic driven instant gratification activities, right? Like TikTok and YouTube shorts and things of this nature. And obviously there's other more provocative things that people are doing on the internet that don't require a lot of hard work to achieve a specific goal. And in the long run, this can really hamper your self-discipline. And clearly self-discipline is something that you need. It is a skill that can be developed over time, one brick at a time, one step at a time. And obviously, you want to be building that momentum up over time. Then it becomes easier to flex that skill. It's kind of like a muscle. It becomes easier as more time progresses. Obviously, you need to know a little bit about yourself personally on maybe what kind of gets your gears turning. It may be a logos driven pathology, the way you think about something, like logical brain, oh, I want to start working out because I need this for my health, or I want to start working out because I want to be around when my grandchildren are born. And for some other people, that can also play into emotional driven, right? How good am I going to feel when I lose 40 pounds? There's different types of attachments that might kind of get you going initially. But remember, motivation does not last that long. You need to develop discipline as a skill, or basically you're kind of dead in the water. You see this a lot with people, like the resolutioners, New Year's resolutions. Oh, I'm gonna set this goal of going to the gym 7 days a week, but comes to find out they've never even gone to the gym on any type of routine whatsoever. And then obviously once 3 weeks into the year, they basically have given up because that muscle of self-discipline is basically non-existent in that said aspect of their life, or maybe even in their life as a whole. I've definitely seen that happen. And this kind of goes back to the point of getting small wins where you can and just building upon that. And in my personal life, with me personally, working out in the gym, but also playing sports at a young age really changed my perspective on hard work versus reward. And it definitely did rewire the way I operate. And I've really seen it play out over a decade of just hard work, working in the shadows, crafting my physique, and even how that translated over into my professional career. It's definitely something that is probably one of the most unnoticed nuances about most successful people on the planet. I'm not saying every single successful person has an amazing physique, but at some point in their life, they had to develop self-discipline in whatever avenue or whatever direction they took in their life. And the gym specifically is pretty much accessible to most people, right? You can get a cheap gym membership and you can start going and really start flexing the self-discipline. And it has a lot of other positive, obviously, physical side effects of being a trained, disciplined person. And a part of that kind of goes back to understanding your strengths and weaknesses and playing off those to get to where you need to go. A good piece of advice I would also give is change your environment if you are lacking self-discipline. A very cut it dry example would be, let's say you're trying to stop partying, but the 5 friends in your closest group are constantly partying. Obviously, that is not going to be conducive to you practicing self-control because you have a lot of temptation around you. Another example would be, if you crave sweets, why would you buy a bunch of candy and keep it basically stocked in your kitchen? If it's going to be around you're playing with temptation, right? That is not going to help you in the beginning when you're still practicing that self-control, especially if you're already struggling with that aspect. Another thing is triaging or prioritizing. You'll see a lot of people try to, basically take on something so massive that might require years of self-discipline, and they can't even stick to a workout plan for 30 days. Definitely one small step at a time will go a long way. and then obviously you can build off those bricks that you're laying down. Another thing I would say can definitely help is changing your perspective. This can go in both ways, right? You've probably seen this with people you know. A certain situation might occur. They can take it two ways. They could take it super duper negative. They could take it super duper positively. It can make or break them, or very rarely is someone going to be neutral on something that happens to them that has like an effect on their life. And changing your perspective on certain things definitely can open your eyes. There's there's an old saying, there's like three sides to every story, right? There's person A's perspective, person B's perspective, but then there's like actually what happened in the situation. And a lot of times you don't really get that perspective of outside looking in, especially if something is affecting you like emotionally. Another thing that I definitely would consider is finding a mentor. Find someone who is already where you want to be. Talk to them, emulate them, ask how did they get there, what was a sticking point for them, and this can really help out. It's definitely helped in my gym life and also in my professional career, and just having those conversations with people. Sometimes it can be hard to spark up a conversation with people that maybe you're not fully comfortable with, but the only way to really get yourself out there and find a good mentor is to have conversations. And another thing that I see a lot is, especially with personal training clients, is someone will set a goal, they may not achieve it, and then they're very hard on themselves, and then they actually become regressive. And next thing you know, they're really falling off the wagon. They're really just like, it's like one step back turned into 10 steps back. And you don't want to be that. You want to have a backup plan, and you also want to move on from your failures and not let them basically spiral down and pull you down the drain. So set small goals at first, build on those, build some momentum, flex that muscle of discipline, and you would be surprised what you are capable of over a 1 to 2 to 3 to even 5 year time horizon if you have self-discipline. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of people who have self-discipline and self-control, and they will be left behind.